Hey everyone, it's Alas.
Jesus. Well, if that didn't if that didn't just kill us. So anyways, we're just gonna have a discussion right now about dodging. It seems like it's a hot topic right now inside of the community. There's obviously been a lot of threads over the last few days. There's also been some Twitter videos that you guys might have seen. You must have also seen T1 Tyler 1's clip about dodging, where he, that one's poetic, honestly. You might have also seen that I entered the conversation about dodging yesterday on Twitter. I'm a very big advocate of dodging. I think it's extremely important for people to utilize, and I remember being one of the main, first sources of telling people to dodge years ago. Yep. In high MMR, and it was a way to utilize the websites that allow you to get information on your teammates and whatnot, like Blitz, and you can really stack the deck in a way. But really, the most important part about dodging for me was it doesn't have to do with whether or not the opposing team has any trolls or griefers or inters. It just has to do with, does your team, right? So we'll get into it because that's one of the arguments about competitive integrity, and I think that the thing that I just mentioned sort of goes, well, I don't totally understand how the competitive integrity argument falls in, but I think that the angle of only really caring about your own team, not trying to stack or manipulate against the opponents in order to gain, where they're handicapped and you're not or something, that's never really the point. It's always about protecting yourself. So, okay, the first issue is that dodging is a very prevalent thing in high MMR.
High elo, especially.
Yeah, high elo. If you've been watching Nemesis' stream or you've watched my stream over the years, you know that in Korea it is Dodge City. I had a 80-minute timer earlier on in the week while playing off stream, and you've just been getting dodges all the time.
Yeah.
And Korea especially became more known for dodging in recent years as a means to combat the trolls, inters, toxic people who only predominantly play 2 or 3 champions, and then all of a sudden decide that they're going to play their champion that they're 0 and 3 with and ranked with a 1 KDA.
Yeah.
And so dodging became a method to combat these people, right? In order to protect yourself. But obviously over time now, EUS to NA, etc., it's Dodge City. So a lot of streamers and people, they can't get into games. Already solo queue in EU and NA is declining over the years. Being high MMR does not mean the same thing that it once did. Being rank 1 doesn't mean the same thing that it once did. You should know.
Exactly. I've decided, guys.
Oh, Jesus. So, but no, in reality, rank has just been declining, right? And dodging is a thing that is being used as an argument as to why rank quality isn't as good. So that's the issue, right? Yeah. That a lot of people talk about. So dodging, it's kind of weird. Everyone talks about dodging like it's the problem when it's the only line of defense because Riot won't do anything.
Yeah. We don't have... we don't have target like permabans in high elo. Like, we don't have people that are looking over high elos, and so basically you only have 2 options when you load into a game, and one is either you just play with the griefer and you lose LP with him, or you basically dodge, right? And because dodging doesn't affect MMR, and since like practically the first dodge is like almost no wait time and very little LP loss, and people realize that dodging is a nice way to not get random defeats and tilt your mood.
Yeah. I mean, dodging... So, for a lot of people that don't know about dodging, basically, dodging doesn't affect MMR. And so, eventually, when people realized this, dodging became really important because all that happens is you lose LP. Now, losing LP doesn't actually mean anything. The same way that your rank tier doesn't actually mean anything. It's just, it's an illusion. It's not real, Riot just puts it there as a feels good. It's supposed to align with what your MMR actually is, but that's obviously not always the case. Hence Smurf queue, lots of people are Challenger, lots of people are Master, wildly different MMRs. The border or the tier that you have does not actually represent where your MMR is standing. So dodging doesn't affect MMR, it only affects LP. A lot of people don't realize this, though, so they complain about losing LP. They're like, oh, I'm losing LP, it's -10 or it's -3. Doesn't matter, you're going to get it back. you're going to either get it back via wins. The win will either grant you extra LP that you otherwise would have had, or when you lose, you're going to lose less LP than you normally would have on a loss. This is something that people don't realize about MMR and LP. So dodging doesn't affect MMR. Another reason that dodging started to become more prevalent, I think, is also the abuse of Diamond 1 promo dodging into Master Tier.
Yes.
So Riot in Season 11 removed Duo Q. And when they removed Duo Q in Master, Grandmaster, and Challenger, what ended up happening is that you still have to play your Master promos. But when you play your Master promos, you can just dodge all 3 of the games and get put right back into D1, which means that you can actually still stay with your duo partner. Because dodging doesn't affect MMR, this actually effectively allows you to duo in Challenger. And then what you can do, if you're smart, is you do this for a long time, and then you win the Master promo, and then you start playing games, you'll get plus 50, minus 3, plus 50, minus 3, and you'll just shoot right up to Challenger. So that's the smartest way to climb right now, if you're trying to inflate MMR with a duo partner. The thing for me, I'm an advocate of dodging, obviously, because I think draft is really, really important. I think that practice should be utilized effectively. And I guess effectively can be argued, right? Because it doesn't mean that you should always play with advantageous team compositions. Mm-hmm. But a team comp shouldn't be like you're ready to blow your brains out. Yeah. If you first pick Karthus, and then your second pick picks Anivia mid lane, and then top laner picks Vladimir, and then your 80 carry picks Ezreal, and then you get Karma support, you should be able to dodge.
You should dodge.
But also, those 4 players are reportable. Like, I don't, like,
yeah.
I don't know what you want the Karthus player to do. Like, that is, so, when I said this yesterday, Wicked on Twitter completely misinterprets, like, what I'm saying there, and thinks that I'm trying to say drafting is not important, but it's the complete opposite.
Yeah, it's the complete opposite.
Drafting is so important that stuff like that is so problematic, the only options to dodge.
Yeah, you even see like pro players nowadays complaining a lot how draft makes, I don't know, 80% of the game or something like that. And so people over years slowly realize that basically games can be decided in draft. And there's like, players can obviously recognize that if the draft is mega lost in solo queue, your chances of winning are close to 0%, so dodge.
So the follow-up argument to this is that it ruins competitive integrity. Now, every time I've read this, I don't totally understand what it means when people are utilizing it. I don't know. It's like when I heard the term weak side, and I don't know. Yeah. Because everyone uses it differently. Yeah. Or when someone says tempo. Yeah. It's one of those things that I don't understand, because it seems like every time it's used, it's applied differently, and I don't know what's being said. But competitive integrity, saying that it's ruining it, I think the argument is that if you take one person who doesn't dodge, and he just plays every single game, his MMR is more of a reflection of true competitive integrity compared to someone who does dodge and stacks the deck, right? But from the thing that I mentioned early on in the video, the person who's stacking the deck is not looking to handicap the enemy team. He's just looking to not have griefers, trollers, or inters on his own team, right? He's protecting himself, or he's only worrying about himself. He's not actually necessarily looking for an edge over the enemy team. He's actually looking to not play with a deficit or a handicap himself. Now, obviously, there's no way for him to know about the enemy team. It does get a little bit tricky. Obviously, the assumption would be that there's no way the enemy team is always even, right? They must be handicapped sometimes. And if you're always stacking the deck, then you probably know that on a number of occasions you will have the natural edge. I mean, maybe that's the argument. The problem for me is I don't know a better solution, because the reality is that Riot will not ban toxic trollers, inters, griefers. And the other thing is that I think it's trolling or griefing if you're a player that only plays one champion and you decide to play something else, or if you're a player that has 200 games Fiora, 200 games Aurelia, 200 games Camille, and then you decide to lock in your patented 3-game, 0 wins Gangplank and take them top lane. Yeah. I think you're griefing.
My theory on like why I think Riot is like careful with like punishing this type of people is because of like the thick lines that can happen. And the famous example is like the Nubrak Timo guy, right? A lot of people would consider him trolling, but some people will defend and say, no, it's his tactic, it's his playstyle, or whatever they say, right? And then like, who decides? Like, who makes the decision? Is this trolling? Is it not?
Yeah, it's pretty finicky. I can agree that I probably do things that it might sound hypocritical, right, when I say stuff like this.
Yeah.
Like, I might theorize that a certain champion is good, and I'll start playing it,
Yeah,
right?
like,
or people that first-time champs in the rank.
Yeah, you've just been playing Mundo support. I'm sure that most of the carries in solo queue would consider you a troller because
yeah. But even if there's like reasoning behind it. So for that, one of the things that I said on Twitter was that for ambiguous cases like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, why is this person picking the Gangplank? It should at least be ticketable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It creates a ticket.
Yeah.
That leads to a question.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, we have no one policing high MMR. So one of the things that I find really weird, and I might be wrong about this, but I believe that LCK teams have a contact where players can contact Riot about griefers and inters in high MMR Korean solo queue, and something will happen. And I believe that what triggered this was, I think the thing with Faker, when he was getting match fixed against in solo queue.
Yeah.
But there was also numerous other complaints. The thing over the years, I remember having conversations with Blastoise when he was still on Riot, and lots of other riders. Just make a skin line that is designated to fund this team or this department that monitors the solo queue. Because the team doesn't actually have to be that big. There's a limited number of games happening at any given time.
Yeah.
But then in addition to that, once the threat becomes known that there will be punishments, people will stop.
Will stop because they'll be scared.
Right. The same way that there are people that would commit crimes if it wasn't illegal.
Yeah.
But they don't because it's illegal.
Yeah.
Right? They don't want to serve consequence or like, and I suppose this enters into a whole other topic about like that conversation, but I don't really care if that's what's necessary to keep people in line. I would rather just have a proper practice environment. Unfortunately, because these things don't exist, players have to protect themselves, and the only way to do that is dodging. So, for me, if you punish dodging, or you remove it entirely, or you make it harder, all that's going to happen is that the actually toxic people are going to get happier, because now they know, oh, well, I have you now. Like, you can't do anything. The other thing that I think it's going to do is it's going to breed more it's going to breed more toxicity. It's going to breed more negativity. Because what's going to end up happening is now people who would have dodged before can't dodge. Now they're angry that they can't dodge. And then what? It's just going to implode. Yeah. There has been nothing over the last 5, 6, 7 years that has ever shown that solo queue has an ability to police itself or actually operate in a way that is conducive to growth. In fact, we've only actually seen the opposite.
Yeah.
Doing things that are going to poke the bear, so to speak, which actually removes freedom, right, from players. It's only going to make it worse.
Yeah, I think...
People are going to get angry.
Yeah, I think there's actually a lot of things, like, there's a lot of examples where, like, someone trolling or someone being toxic actually, like, benefits the person more than, you know, than it should. Like, it actually can make a career out of it or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. It's self-explanatory, I guess.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. The way that I see a removal of dodging isn't that, oh, now there's no dodging. No, it's just people will want to play less. When they do play, they might be angrier. Anger will lead to more trolls, more griefers, more opens, more people being negative and toxic, leads to lower game quality.
Yeah, probably.
So I am not aligned with the school of thought that dodging is a problem. I think it's the only
line of defense.
Right, it's the only line of defense right now against the real problem, which is Riot doesn't police high MMR. This is also a really big problem because if you want people to keep growing up and being pro players, and you want amateurs to grow into pros and all this other stuff, you want pros to play solo queue, you need to have something that polices the highest ends of the ladder. Because otherwise, what's the point? I mean, we already don't have pros playing the ladder, at least in NA and EU.
Yeah, not a lot of not all the pro players are playing solo queue all the time.
Yeah.
They might play a couple of games, but then they give up. I know personally, like from experience, I've been told a lot of times by different kind of people that they think solo queue is useless, or they just don't want to spend time playing it because scrims are just way better.
Yeah.
And that's because of the game quality. But also, I think it would be a smart idea to also either like create a second league system, just like the ones that was used in CS:GO, where only like select number of people could come in, and they had to be good as they would get replaced. And they were also like tryharding for rewards, like rewarding people for being high placed. Would be like, I think would be a nice idea, just like we had, for example, Challenger Jacket.
Do you think people cared about those incentives?
I mean, I personally did. I know a lot of people that did. It just felt nice to be rewarded about something.
Yeah.
Even if it's small or...
I mean, even money incentive would be fine.
Yeah.
Or you could make the season into season A and B. That way there's more opportunity. Because it could feel maybe really daunting. Especially because Worlds, right? Worlds collides at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. So certain pro players are actually removed from like the ability to get certain things, right?
Yeah.
So if you separated it into season A and season B, and you reset the ladder, you did a soft reset in between season A and B, it probably makes both periods of the ladders more competitive.
I agree, yeah.
But now you would have people that would have a legitimate shot at getting something. Mm-hmm. I think one of the arguments would be that, pro players have scrims. So the reality is, there's more than enough time to climb, even when you have scrims. Most pro players are just lazy. Mm-hmm. One of the other things that this makes me think of, though, is that one of the arguments is that because drafting is so important, it would incentivize players to get better at drafting. Mm-hmm. No, it won't. The reason that it won't is because look at an environment like NA in-houses. Yeah. They're terrible at drafting. They have no idea.
They're awful.
They have absolutely no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Their communication is awful inside of Translat.
It's literally who talks the loudest and who talks the most. Nice.
But
efficiency. The
thing is that everyone has different ideas of what each role should do and what champion should do. And I understand that the goal, right, should be to enhance overall knowledge and mutual understanding, all these other, great things. The reality of the situation is that that's not feasible. That's like very wishful thinking.
Yeah.
People have very different ideas. I mean, we have people that can't even agree on drafts relative to skill level.
Yeah.
Right? There was the infamous Cloud9 argument draft, right? Yeah. Cloud9 versus TSM. TSM, yeah. Where you had multiple players that were,
multiple sides, yeah.
Yeah, you had multiple sides. You had multiple players saying different takes. And that is an issue in and of itself, because that is just going to be a thing that happens, right? I mean, we see this in trading card games. So I think it's not feasible to suggest that it's going to improve drafting.
I think it won't. So one of the points that people also bring up is low MMR dodging. Now, by low MMR, I usually mean like up to like gold, maybe plat. Above that, I would argue that dodging is pretty good, usually. But I think, like if I were to recommend to a player that's like low elo, I would tell them to never dodge there, because I think dodging in lower elo is just useless. People have like obviously the notion that like counter picks are counter picks or the matchups are unplayable, but that's not the case. Historically speaking, champions that are actually bad at the game, let's give you an example, Warwick, is just good in low MMR or any type of really easy champion. That's why obviously me and LS.
What? Wait, what? Oops. Is that going in the bloopers or what? Me and Annie, what the fuck?
Oh god. Me and LS are huge advocates of people playing Annie in low elo, because she's the queen and she will carry the games. It doesn't matter what matchup you're gonna play against. Yeah. So why would you bother dodging when you can win anything?
I mean, yeah, this is the thing, right? A lot of people will say that Orion is unplayable, Xerath's unplayable, Syndra's unplayable. They're not wrong. Those matchups are unplayable
Yeah.
at high MMR.
Yeah.
They really are. Because the Syndra can space, the Xerath can space, the Orianna can space, they understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
When I do coaching, well, when I used to, I don't coach anymore. You know, I'm just an entertainer now. So
Yeah.
when, you know, I'm going to check the clock for this one, I'm not sure. When I used to coach, I mean, all the Annies, they would just space so bad.
Yeah.
But I would see them go up against Oriannas, and the Oriannas would space really bad. And they're both just, you can just solo kill them both.
Yeah.
Like, they're both playing so poorly that a counter isn't a counter unless the person knows why it's a counter and then how to utilize it.
Yes.
So there's a lot of champions that are really, really, really not that good that at low MMR are just broken and overpowered, right? And Riot actually historically balances.
They even
ways
do
like
balances.
this, right?
Yeah.
They do balance changes.
There's the famous
aimed
one. Which
Amumu.
one? Amumu is one, but there's like a couple of like famous ones.
York.
Is it like Volibear was one? Maybe?
York's good. York's a really good example.
York
they don't want him to be good in high MMR. Darius is another one. He's a super low elo stomper.
Yeah.
But so dodging in low MMR, it's kind of weird. Where realistically, like if this is a problem in low MMR, I mean, I feel like low MMR has more players, shorter queue times on average.
Yeah.
Right. It's almost insta pops.
Yeah.
Dodging probably is not as problematic at high MMR. Where like the average queue time, I don't know about NA and EU, but in Korea it's like what, a minute?
I have a bit more. Like
In Challenger, maybe in Challenger it's a little bit more, but not by much.
Yeah.
Especially not at prime hours. So in long MMR, I don't understand the point. I think dodging's pretty useless. I am a big advocate at Platinum Plus, where you can start stacking the deck.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine. So, I don't know. What I foresee is that somehow this came about as a hot topic. I'm very against dodging being removed. I don't know what you do to try to fix it, because even if you try to nerf dodging, all that you're doing is you're making more people angry because you're removing freedom. And when you remove that freedom and you don't actually talk about the things that are making people upset, such as griefers, inters, trollers, people playing champions they don't play, one trick's not dodging, people, bad team compositions, etc., you're just going to make people more angry and not want to play. And we've already seen this so many seasons in a row. So why are we taking away the one thing that will still make people want to play? And it also, relieves... you see me, what happens when I get griefers. I'm 30 seconds away from a mental hospital. So dodging is like one of the only ways for me to stay sane. If I didn't have dodging in the past 2 weeks... Dude, holy... Oh my god. I would be banned. I would be TOS on Twitch.
I would be visiting you at the grave.
You'd be going to the grave or something. I don't even know, man. So, I just can't, you see what happens too. The champ selects that we would get, even when we were doing.
Yeah.
You can't do anything. And Riot's not going to punish these people.
The thing is, I don't think people would quit League if dodging
it's just going to get more toxic.
Because people usually are addicted to the game, right? I think I'm addicted to the game. So I think it would just, be more toxic. I think people would flame more, people would grief more.
The thing is that people, even if you start to come up with light ways to address the flame or toxicity, right? People would be intelligent. They'd find intelligent ways to grief you.
Yes, intelligent ways to grief you.
And then it's a haha, you can't prove it.
Yeah.
And then it requires someone sentient who probably understands the game at a high level to go in and be like, okay, that's not, that's not what is that play is not natural. And if this person has too many of those types of plays, something's going on, right? He's actually trying to lose, like Blabber flashing onto Hecarim. So when you do stuff like that over a long period of time, it becomes identifiable and someone could ban it, right? But you would need someone that understands the game at a really high level to do that, which it's not realistic. I don't know. So Riot, since the last 24 hours, has announced that they are adding this new thing to dodging. So the first dodge, it's -3 LP. Doesn't matter. Okay, doesn't
6
matter.
minutes wait time.
6-minute wait time doesn't matter. MMR still there.
Yeah.
And then
Second
it's
one
minus
is
10,
30
30 minutes,
yeah.
right? And then it's another, I think, minus 10, and then it's 12
more
hours.
Maybe, but I'm not sure. And then 12-hour lockout.
12-hour lockout.
Yeah.
So this is going to, I mean, you can still dodge.
You can dodge first one, maybe second one.
You can
third
dodge
one's
second one.
not worth.
Third one isn't worth if you're a pro player or amateur.
Yeah.
If you're a streamer and you have multiple IDs, third one's still viable.
I guess so.
And it's within a 24-hour period. So if you time it all right, you can actually probably get 6 dodges.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, not 6, 5, right?
Depends on how many accounts.
You can get 5. Yeah, 5, right? I don't know. So, 5. Well, no. I'm talking about on one account.
On one account.
Because it's a 24-hour clock
Okay.
from the first dodge.
Yeah.
So if you time it right, you can
Probably 5. Yeah.
you can go into the new clock and then do 2 dodges.
Yeah.
Yeah. So multi-accounting is going to be more important with the new dodging. It doesn't fix the actual reason that this is happening. Bad drafting,
Mm-hmm.
toxicity, griefing, one tricks. It doesn't fix anything. And I feel like everyone who's talking about it being a problem is so detached from reality that dodging is the only cure to what's actually happening.
It's not really a cure though. I think it's like a temporary fix for me.
Okay, a cure is a bad word.
Yeah.
It's like a medicine.
Yeah.
Like it relieves your symptoms, but doesn't cure you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't, I mean, there's people that play in high MMR and they never dodge, right? There are those types of people.
They are. I mean, I feel like I'm maybe one of them, to be honest.
Yeah, they never dodge, and they sort of, they play through whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, you have, yeah, and I know that you're sort of one of them, but self-admittedly, you probably have games where
Yeah, where it's painful to play, I know.
it's really bad, right?
Yeah, it's just, most people can't do that, I agree. It's also like, a lot of those games are a waste of my time, I admit it.
And you have more reason to play the game as a streamer, former pro player, etc.
Yeah,
And if someone doesn't have those same reasons,
yeah, they are just...
they're turned off.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah.
We can do the last topic here. So, LS, what do you think about Renekton?
Okay, yeah, we're done. We're done.
Alright.
Okay, anyways, it was the first time making a video like this, so I don't know how the response is going to be. Obviously, it's a little bit all over the place. It's not really super structured. This was sort of... I mean, we just decided to do this at the drop of a hat with a tripod and camera set up
Done
here.
in one
So
take.
yeah, it's done in one take. Obviously, there's some edits, but that's pretty much it. People wondering why we're wearing a mask. We are currently at T1HQ. We're in T1HQ. Basically, if you're not in the cafeteria, you're not eating or anything, you should just always sort of have the mask on. I understand that I'm adjusting it a lot because my mouth moves a lot, so it pulls the mask down a little bit, but that's pretty much it. And yeah, we'll probably be doing a lot more videos like this in the future. The video editor and producer is here in Korea. We're moving next week, and we'll have the studio built and set up once the new apartment's made, and then there will be a lot more videos like this, as well as, well, not just like, higher quality than this, starting, and then, yeah, pretty much it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Thanks for watching, guys.